What is up, everybody? I am your girl Mo, and I am here at the Rebuild Empire channel. Again, you get to see me every single day on my live feeds of the Morning Blueprint and the Evening Foundation Conversations. This is the Rebuild Empire. I'm so excited. This is my first story time with you all to actually go through the process of just getting down to finally sharing my testimony. We will not share all of my life story. It will be in series where you get 7 episodes per season. This is the first season of the Rebuild Empire Storytime, which is every single Friday at 8 p.m. I'm excited today to be with you all, and I hope that this really helps somebody else be the best version of themselves. So today we are discussing the day that my life changed. Childhood ended for me, and a new start happened very quickly. Okay. One thing about it, I'm just going to tell you all, just first and foremost, that I did not grow up in a home that was fit necessarily for childhood living. My mother was a drug dealer. Most of our lives, we were seeing a lot of people of prostitution, people who were on drugs, and so forth. And it was heartbreaking because we oftentimes went to school and we would see a lot of these people's children. How do we know their children? Because many of these individuals who were living with us at the time, because they were drug users, would ask if we know, so-and-so or so-and-so. And the thing is that many of these children were living with their grandparents and so forth, while their parents were literally at our house doing things that they shouldn't have been doing, right? Many of those people today I'm very proud of, because many of them have gotten clean. And I'm so proud that many of them have just chose the better route for themselves. They've chose to show up for them. Because too often I think my heart always went out to those, although that was our way of getting by and bills being paid, I just never saw it as a luxury. I would say it was always heartbreaking for me to see. But nevertheless, I'm going to keep going with this story time. So this story time is about when I found out I was pregnant with my firstborn son, DJ. And so I had met his dad through one of his dad's cousins that were actually going to the same high school as me. And at the time, they were stating that he was in a relationship. Now, from his saying, of course, we know men, we know boys. We ain't gonna say men, we know boys. He was stating that he wasn't with anybody, but the young lady was stating that they were together, right? A baby was already involved and already in the process of being born soon when I met him. It was uncommon for me to meet somebody at such a young age. I was 15, he was 15. I don't really know why, I don't know. I just don't think childhood should happen as early. But I think if we deal with a lot more reinforcements at home, we won't have teen pregnancy. But all in all, that's how I met him. He told me everything was over. I was one of those gullible females at the time when I was younger. I'm just wanting love or some form of affection in some type of way because I'm not getting it at home. My mom tried the best way that she could to be a provider. She had a hard life of herself, so she wasn't able to be a person of like a nurturing spirit, because she always had to have this manly or hardcore exterior, right? So I meet the guy, and I'm one of those people who always see the potential, and I'm steady focused on the potential, that I don't see the red flags. So I see a bit of the lies in which he's saying that he's not with the young lady. But then when I finally get to meet his sister and we get acquainted, and I finally get to see his living conditions, it sort of kind of had me in a rut, right? Because I'm seeing that they don't really have food like that. You know, their mom is really dealing with alcoholism at the time, and they're just like survival of the fittest. So my mom, of course, with her being a drug dealer, had the luxury of always having like boosters and things of that nature that would come to the house, whether it be food, you got me talking shrimp, lobster, steak, whatever. So I start taking them food in the mornings. I start catching a bus from where we are, and I start taking them food just to make sure that they're, you know, taken care of. And then when I start, you know, at the time I was selling weed in school. I have a horrible past. I was selling weed in school, and I was doing it very discreetly, where even when we were having those school lockdowns, I was able to maneuver through all of them without getting caught. So I take food to him. I start making money. I'm making sure that he has money. I'm making sure that he has weed. I'm making sure that he has a phone. I'm talking about taking him to T-Mobile and everything to go and get a phone, like a literal flip phone. This is me in high school doing all of this. It's just so crazy. Now that I think about it, it's so crazy. So I go through that process, and then, of course, after we are dating for a little minute, we decide on being intimate, of course. These intimate moments were practically happening almost every day at a young age, because this is my first sight of love. I feel like now I'm able to, me being gullible, feel what love is. This is what love is, you know, just getting together, spending time together, being in the rain together, being in the dark together, meeting each other after school, being in the cold together. That's back when we had those race car jackets back then. So this is happening almost all the time. But then at the same time, I'm being cheated on, right? And I was one of those ones that really didn't take any crap back then. So I would say a lot was happening, from, you know, cursing family members out, you know, being irrational. I would call it that. So fast forward, everybody starts seeing this glow. You know, months later, everybody starts seeing this glow, and my hair is growing, and I'm getting my hair deep pressed or whatever. And I'm not really noticing the changes. I'm not really noticing the changes at all. And but I do slightly feel, you know, when I'm sleeping on my stomach, movement going from the left to the right. And I wasn't really aware. I wasn't aware of things, you know, the reproductive changes and pregnancy and things like that. We've never had those talks. So fast forward, I end up going to the free clinic, getting a test done, and I cannot remember who I went with, but I end up getting a test done. I get the result, and when I get the result, I literally write my mother a letter, and take it into her. I give it to her. I tell her to read it, and lo and behold, I tell y'all no lie, this particular night, I'm sitting on the edge of my bed, and my mom goes to say, she comes in with a cigarette, and the cigarette is on the side of her mouth. She lights it, she takes a pull, and then she takes the cigarette and she says, "You a dumb bee. Now you about to be like these project bound females. You ain't about to have nothing in life. You ain't gonna make it." Right? So I would call myself a very determined person. And although I allowed for so many people to tell me who they thought I was, there was always this determination and this perseverance and resilience about me in every situation. I have to give all glory to God for that, because had I not had that that fourth, like that go-getter mentality, or just a go-getter spirit, just a up for spirit, where I always wanted to just get up and make sure that I got stuff done. She came in, told me what she thought I was going to become, and lo and behold, there it is. She finds out through the letter that I wrote her that I was pregnant. And how far along I was? 6 months. I was so tiny, you couldn't even realize that I was tiny. And it wasn't until it was exposed that I started to show, that I started to gain the weight and gain the stomach and so forth. And be mindful, y'all, I'm making my own money at the time. I'm able to go to stores and get my school clothes and get my nails done and all this good stuff. And at the time, I had a homeboy friend named Tyron, who was, into guys or whatever, before I really actually understood what that was. And his mom did hair, and she would do my hair or whatnot. And then my mom would always, oh, I want my hair like that, and da da da. So for somebody who really act like they didn't like me that much, always seemed to have comparisons between the two. So fast forward, she finds out that I'm pregnant. We work towards trying to get, my son everything that he needs. My aunt, Nikki, who I'm named after, literally goes and has a baby shower for me. I don't end up making it because I end up going into labor before I could. But he had everything he needed. My mom stressed me out a whole lot. My pregnancy, getting kicked out while big and pregnant. I would say the worst of the worst pregnancies that a person can actually deal with. There was no peace. There was no rest, really. It was a lot of stress. So stress on both sides. Stress from, the dad not really having any, he didn't have any determination to do anything. Didn't want to work, didn't want to go to school. He was already a middle school dropout by the time I met him, which is horrible because that should have been another red flag. But again, like I said, potential. So fast forward to my birth. My water ends up breaking. I still remember it to this day. And I end up going to the hospital. He walks to the hospital. He did do that. He walked to the hospital from where his grandmother was living. It took him some time, but he finally got there. We had the baby. We signed the papers. Bam, now reality strikes. And we're going home. His family did not like me because they were adamant that he should have been with the mother of his daughter. Which I can agree and I can disagree too, all at the same time. Forgive me. But so they didn't like me. They didn't take a liking to me at all. So my mom learns about his situation and offers him to come and stay with us. I didn't ask that. You offered him to come and stay with us. So when she sees his laziness, it pisses her off. It really does. And I get it. As a mom, I would be pissed off too. So I can't say that she was wrong in that instance. Now, wrong for putting me out, yes. But because he could have just been put out and we could have went from there. But she put him out first, I think the night prior. No, we both got put out the same day. Because she woke up. I was already woke. I was getting ready for school. And she was like, yeah, get your sorry a nigga and you know, you get your sorry egg, get your baby, and get the F out of my house, and this, that, and the third. Somebody had stolen something from her, but then she had already had just a, I don't know what to really call it, but just a high dislike for me at the time. So it's so crazy. So she puts me out, and at this time, this is back in 2010, so it's pretty cold in the month of August, and we get put out. We're walking. As we're walking, at this point, you know, he's like, you know, he has somewhere to go. Me personally, I'm thinking in my mind, I'm just so tired of being put out. I'm so sick of this. I've been dealing with this my pregnancy, and now I'm dealing with this after the pregnancy. I cannot keep living this way. So her and her boyfriend try to follow behind me as I'm walking down the street, and they try to make me get in the car. I don't want to get in the car, so I continue to walk, and we wind up going to his grandmother's house. Of course, they don't want me there, so now his uncle Jim, I'm not going to say his name, but his uncle at the time allows for us to live in a room at his home for a short period of time before we left there. After leaving there, me and my aunt called me and actually negotiated a deal where she would co-sign a lease for me to get my own place. At this point, when things are starting to come on the up and up, I get with my mentor, which I love her so much. I get with my mentor, and I tell her the bad news that I'm going to have to drop out of school. Because I have to provide for my son. There is no way for me to live in this life and continuously getting put out, not knowing if today is going to be the day where me and him don't have anywhere to go. And she taught me about resumes. She taught me about interview skills. She taught me so much. And I can't even remember why people put me in her connections class, but I loved her so much. So much. If she ever sees this, her name was Miss Heather. And she was dealing with her own sickly circumstances or whatever, but I loved her so much. I'll tell you no lie. Yeah, I loved her a lot. She taught me everything I know as far as professionalism, and I'm forever grateful for God sending her towards me. So she was sad, very sad, when I told her that I had to drop out. So she showed me how to fill out job applications, and with the job application, she went to the extent of just showing me the ropes on if I ever needed a job, if I ever needed to do a resume, this is how you do it. So I started working at McDonald's, started working at a place called the Sandnet Stadium at the time. And when I was at McDonald's on their schedule, they'd be like, you don't have to go to school. Like, you shouldn't even still be here. And I'm like, well, I don't go to school, you know. And people were shocked because they were like, this child got her own place. And then she turned around and she's working here. And it's just like, this is crazy. Like, why are you not in school? So, all in all, things panned out where I was working 2 jobs. And at the time, I didn't know too much about bills. I'm not going to lie. So I did lose that apartment because I was trying to, you know, have money for the sake of me and my son to be able to survive on grocery and so forth, but not even realizing too, you know, that he wasn't going to get up and work and try to assist me. He was bringing his homeboy and his homeboy's girlfriend in the picture when you already were not helping me. And I remember I played a trick this one time, and I said, well, I can't pay the rent this month. And I had the rent in my bra. And he says, well, I can't help you, B. I got somewhere to go. You know, so it's just like I was treated so badly in a 7-year relationship. And I'm going to tell y'all on part 2 how everything else is going to sort of kind of flow into this. But you just got to stay close. But this is crazy because I worked those 2 jobs to the very bit to take care of my son. and it rolled until it didn't. When I lost that apartment, I got an efficiency apartment. I didn't have to go through an application, didn't have to go through a credit check, none of that stuff. As long as I had the money, as long as I was making the income, that's what it was. So that being in an efficiency really taught me how to maintain and manage my money, because he was coming every week. He was coming for his money. Okay, you couldn't play with Mr. LL money at all. He was coming for his money. So I would pay him every single week, and I'm not gonna lie, I had a kitchen, a bathroom, it had the 1 bedroom in there, and I was comfortable. You know, a TV, I was comfortable. I'm not gonna lie to you, I was comfortable. And you know, I had set it up the way it should have been set up. My son had everything he needed, and I was doing my own thing at the time. You know, I had a homeboy at the Sandnet Stadium that would drop me off home. And then, of course, my son's dad would try to enter back in my life because he sees me doing good and being on my own. So, of course, being gullible, and of course, at the time, being in love, I allowed for him back into my life, which shouldn't have been done on so many occasions. But like I said, on part 2, I will tell y'all more of what's going on. But all in all, I want y'all to take with y'all something out of Psalms where it tells you that when your mother and your father abandon you, that God will take place and make sure that he cares for you in a way that nobody else can. And then also in Jeremiah, you know, that I'm coming, courage. Jeremiah 29:11, when he helps you to understand that before, you know, you were in your mother's womb, he knew you, and he has created all things to happen for the sake of your good. So even when things look bad, he's going to plan for everything to come out good. And I do believe that everything that he has taken me through gives me the opportunity to strengthen. One, it strengthened myself, but it strengthened my faith too, because I kept my faith in all things that happened to me out there in the world. I was able to maneuver and maintain in my life. And I know that it wasn't all for me, because I know God had to be walking with me. I know Jesus Christ was with me every step of the way. And I want you to understand, before we even get to part 2 next week, that regardless of what situations look like, never give up on God. Never give up on him. Because what my mother thought she was doing to harm me, God intended for good. So again, this is part 1 of everything that I see fit for, you know, when my life changed. And we will be for part 2 next week in our story time. But until then, my name is Monique. I am your foundation layer coach. This is the Rebuild Empire channel, and this is my story time of how my life changed, all with my childhood gone.
And I hate loud his voice cut through. They say God won't help him. Man, that's cap.